Assalamualaikum. So today I'm gonna explain about JVP or trying to answer the question yang Syafiqah tanya. Basically, before I go about answering the question, I think it's better if we go through the general concept of JVP. So this is a graph. Alright, this is the atrial graph. Okay, this is actually macam this large graph here is the left ventricular pressure. This is the left atrial pressure. Tapi for JVP, obviously it's right atrial pressure, tapi the concept is the same. And this is the arterial pressure. So macam diastole, macam tu nak 120 over apa 80. So that's normal blood pressure. Okay, so the JVP wave, it consists of 3 waves. So we have A, C, and V. So I'm gonna draw it here. Okay, so we have A, C, and V. Okay, so it's A, C, and V. And we also have what we call as the X descent. This is the X descent, this is the Y descent. Alright, so the first thing that you need to know is this okay, first thing that you need to know is that this happens during systole, this happens during diastole, number 1. Number 2, this happens during arterial systole. This happens isovolumic contraction, and this is the ventricular systole. Okay, so the A represents the synchronous atrial contraction. Okay, C is a wave produced when the on the left side, the tricuspid valve macam bulging. So if you remember from physiology, isovolumic, or volumetric, I remember the name, contraction is when the ventricles contract. Okay, tapi belum ada ejection of the blood. Okay, so after the atrial contraction, after the atrial blood goes into the ventricles, you have atrial contraction. Okay, then you have the ventricular contraction, which closes the tricuspid valve. Okay, tapi they have to generate enough pressure untuk buka the pulmonary valve, where the blood can go from right ventricles out into the pulmonary circulation. Jadi the period where they build the pressure is called the isovolumic contraction. Okay, then you have the ventricular systole where the ejection happens. Then you have the diastole. Okay, so C represents the tricuspid valve yang bulging like that. I mean, this is the leaflet, so it bulge. Okay, then V represents the diastole, the closure. Sorry, the opening. V represents the opening. V is where the opening of the tricuspid valve. Okay, so after systole, diastole, after systole is diastole. During diastole kan passive movement of blood from the right atrium into the right ventricles, so it goes through the tricuspid valve. It must be open. Okay, jadi this phase, yang slow rising phase, is the moment where there's filling of right atrium from the vena cava. Kiranya during ventricular systole, the atrial diastole happens. Jadi waktu ya darah masuk daripada vena cava into the right atrium. So as more blood comes in, the pressure they increase slowly until when the systole happens, the tricuspid valve is open, then the pressure is down. Sebab darah yang terkumpul dalam right atrium goes into right ventricles. Okay, we understand that. So answering Shafiqah's question, in AFib, there's no synchronous atrial contraction. Okay, so there is no A wave. A wave say ada because of the contraction, so A wave will be flat. Alright. So how do we clinically see this? We have to see as a whole, a holistic examination. Jadi usually bila kita examine JVP, kita mesti rasa either femoral pulse or radial pulse because kita nak time the pulsation with the pulse of the patient. Sama juga macam kita nak time the murmur kan. Nak katanya pensystolic murmur, it should start. The murmur should start when you feel the pulse kan. Jadi number one lah bila kita examine AFib, bila kita examine JVP. But now in terms of AFib, no synchronous atrial contraction, no A wave. So bila kita rasa macam ni kita nak clinically examine. So bila kita rasa pulse AFib, obviously we would feel it's irregular. So it's irregular, we know that it can be AFib. So then kita akan jadi lebih aware what are we going to see in the JVP. So we might only see like C and V wave. We might not able to see A wave because A wave is flat in AFib. So clinically kita rasa irregular pulse with no A wave. That's how we see clinically. And for example, in tricuspid regurg, okay, tricuspid regurg, there's a backflow of blood from the right ventricle into the right atrium. Okay, as I mentioned, this is the passive filling of the right atrium from the vena cava. Before the tricuspid valve terbuka in early diastole and darah semua turun ke RV, so the pressure is down. You just imagine logically, when kita ada tricuspid regurg, of course there's backflow of blood into the right atrium. The pressure of right atrium can increase, so the V wave akan jadi peaked, tinggi, because blood coming back into the right atrium. So that's what causes the tall V wave, okay, or what they call this a CV wave. Jadi how do we see that clinically? So for tricuspid regurg, apa yang kita dapat dengar? Obviously kita dapat dengar pensystolic murmur, loudest dekat left sternal edge. So it'll be, this is S1, this is S2. Pensystolic will be like that, S1, S2. So clinically we would be able to appreciate a pensystolic murmur, loudest left sternal edge, and the large V wave. Obviously, it depends on the severity of the murmur, right? So my point is, to answer your question, to clinically identify is we see the whole sign and symptoms that that patient might present with their condition. AFib with no synchronous atrial contraction, irregular pulse. For tricuspid regurg, you might able to hear pensystolic murmur, loudest in the left sternal edge. Tricuspid regurg, you might also feel because volume overload, right ventricular heave. I think I had right ventricular heave because we might able to feel right ventricular hypertrophy or dilatation. So I hope that answers the question. If you have any further questions, just let me know. I'll try my best to answer the questions. Okay, Assalamualaikum. Bye.